I've always found the music industry to be very fascinating, and in current times, all the press about UMG and Warner and Sony, the big three, together they control the majority of the world's recorded music revenues. But let's take a look at these three from a more business angle. I like this framework called Porter's Forces, and Michael Porter breaks down how the industry of music, or any industry at that, is facing competition, entry barriers, and pricing barriers and things like that. And I find it quite fascinating. The rivalry among the current big three, right? They have engaged in intense but managed rivalry. They compete for artists, catalog acquisitions, and streaming deals. But the rivalry is softened by the high concentration, only three major firms. To some, it's almost sickening, and I don't blame you if you feel that way. There's a shared incentive to negotiate favorable terms with platforms like Spotify, with Apple and YouTube. There's a backlog moat, if you will, owning decades and decades of recordings and publishing rights. And it's quite sickening to a lot of the little guys, the indie guys. But here's a twist, and this is what excites me. The equalizer, the distinguishing factor. AI. Rivalry could escalate if one label seizes AI as a productivity weapon, which it is almost impossible not to. For example, AI-assisted A&R, AI-driven remixing, personalized music. If you think these three giants aren't thinking along these lines, you're joking. If Warner or Sony underinvest while UMG builds an AI advantage by getting into bed with Suno, oh my goodness, the industry balance could tilt very quickly. Now, if AI lowers barriers for creating new rival products, wow, if labels don't adapt, the real rivalry is going to come from outside. It's going to come from the little guys. People like you, who knows? People like me, or maybe the medium guys, who knows? You see, when you look at Porter's Forces, there's something called threat of new entrants. The barriers have been traditionally high, right? The distribution power, radio, MTV, retail, and digital licensing. But now things are changing. Do you see things shifting in the favor of social media being the new media? What about scale needed for global promotion and touring support? What about the legal muscle to enforce IP rights? But here's the AI twist. New entrants are multiplying. Suno, Udio, and all those other tools, they are helping the little guys. They are helping bypass a lot of the old distribution chokehold. A 19-year-old today with AI can generate a full album overnight that sounds studio grade. Don't deceive yourself moaning about artifacts. Those are going to go away. Suno Studio is coming. And other studios like Producer AI, not to mention Moises, they are going to get better. And when they get really awesome, what's going to happen? They don't even need the label infrastructure anymore. The cool factor, once monopolized by labels, is now migrating to agile independence. Personally, I have released over the past number of months a lot of old music that I had and new music. I've released over 5 solid albums, each with anywhere from 5 to 20 pieces on them, and they sound world class. You can check it out, Phil the Creator. I'm on all platforms. But you can also listen to my old stuff, Phil C. It's all there. Now, AI is an equalizer for the little guy like me. Like the threat of new entrants, I'm a threat now. Look out for me, big three. Maybe one day I'm going to have my catalog and be killing it. Who knows, right? Now let's talk about the threat of substitutes. Traditionally, substitutes meant live play, live music, piracy, or alternative entertainment, games and films. those could be substitutes for listening to the catalogs from the big three. But here's an AI twist. Substitutes now include AI generated background music, TikTok loops, and personalized soundtracks. You think YouTube is stupid? YouTube has a solid model and it's right there on your phone. And the irony is a lot of people don't even know that YouTube has come up with a solid dream AI platform for audio and video. They're not dumb. They're not going to leave money on the table, and they're not going to leave opportunity on the table. The more they keep you in YouTube, the better it is for them. Now, YouTube itself is a competitor for attention in the market space of background music for video. If they can take money off the plates of these big three, whose pocket do you think it's going into? They are barring the hand of the big three away from your money, away from the money of those who would typically subscribe for that music. They're not dumb. You see, consumers might enjoy, let's say, an AI Drake style song without needing Drake and without violating Drake's copyright. They just get a voice that might sound a little bit in that style, but it's not his. These are becoming more and more rampant, and I know some of you're really mad about this, and I don't blame you for being mad about any copycats. But bear in mind that the world is round. There are various places across the globe where people may be violating these copyright concerns. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying how much control are we going to have in stamping out these sound-alikes, look-alikes? I understand, it's quite annoying. Now think about it, a content creator may pay $10 for unlimited AI background tracks, as opposed to license from a major label. And would you blame them because you know the major label is going to gouge the heck out of them? You know that. Now let's talk about bargaining power of buyers. Streaming platforms like Spotify, like Apple, like Amazon, they became powerful buyers, often dictating terms and margins. Artists and consumers, they gained indirect power as well, with platforms offering endless choice. But here's the AI twist. The next generation of buyers, the next generation content creators, gamers, advertisers, those guys might just bypass labels entirely, and they very well can, using none other than AI to generate music on demand. The big three could see their leverage against Spotify and Apple weaken further, and that's why they're getting jittery and agitated, because if they're like me, they're seeing the future. If platforms integrate AI creation tools directly, such as what YouTube has been doing, and if Spotify now jumps on the bandwagon, oh my goodness, that could be really terrible. Spotify plus AI, that will be less dependence on the big three. The boys at UMG, the girls at UMG, the boys and girls at Warner and Sony catalogs. They're going to be scratching their heads, and overnight, the whole business would radically change.
AI is moving too fast. We need to get a piece of the AI pie before Spotify, YouTube, and the content creators take over.
We need a deal with Suno now.
Now, do you think that AI radio stations, such as what Suno is gravitating towards, will go away? They're not dumb. All Suno needs is the go-ahead and a sprinkle of advertising, and hey presto, you got your new Spotify, AI-powered. Let's talk about bargaining power of suppliers. You see, in music, the suppliers are the artists, the songwriters, like you and me. Historically, majors captured value by signing, by advancing and controlling rights. But star artists like the soon-to-be Miss Kelsey, you know who I'm talking about, BTS, Bad Bunny, all those folks, they command massive power. And they can negotiate directly. But here's the AI twist. What happens when the supplier is not a human artist, but an AI agent or model? Ooh. Or what happens when a human is the owner of a humongous catalog that was created and optimized using the power of the human brain, the human intellect, EI, to make those prompts hit deep in your psyche, and AI? You see, it could be a game changer.
Eureka! I just created the next big genre, neo-grit trap jazz.
When artists bring in their own AI workflows and only need minimal label support, it could be a huge game changer. And if labels cling to old contract models, artists may simply go independent, owning both their human and AI assisted outputs. Let's talk about it for a second. What makes the artist the most money today is not the lousy streams. I don't care whether you got billions of streams. That doesn't make the money. What makes the money is you being on the road, touring, and other brand deals. So if you think the big three are going to be able to hold people to the flame, and those old contract models, they are joking. Because you know what people are going to do? Artists are simply going to go independent. They are going to own both their human and AI assisted output. Now let's talk about the AI pie, because I know everyone's smelling that pie in those big three companies. Let's talk about where the value could shift. AI doesn't just threaten, it creates a new profit pool. And I want to name that the AI pie. I want a piece of the pie. Do you want a piece of the pie?
Give me some of that AI pie. I want some pie.
Because I know some of you, you're wondering how you can do it. And truth be told, how did I jump on this paddy wagon of AI pie? I heard an influencer in the world of business talk about how she was releasing AI music. And here I was like a dumb schmuck sitting down listening to her music. And I asked myself, what are you doing? And I decided to get up my hind end and do something. Begin to expose the world of AI and possibilities. I started thinking, I started seeing all these business models. I started realizing how things were pivoting. And I started realizing why certain individuals will want to control the narrative, calling AI music stealing and trying to shame those who use it. The less AI music there is, the more the big three will stay in control. Don't you understand? So AI doesn't just threaten. It creates this awesome profit pool, AI pie. And that, the big three, could either capture or lose to people like
Give me some of that AI
you.
pie.
So let's talk about slices of the AI pie. Slice number one is AI training rights. Licensing my catalog or your catalog for AI training, right? UMG suing Suno and Udio is a prelude to extracting royalties. But think about it. If they had approached me and said, hey, we know that you got like hundreds of songs, maybe going to thousands. Can we use that data? Can we use your catalog? We'll pay you XYZ. Now, while Suno and Udio are in the spotlight, you already know how the world of tech works. If you think people in China and India and Japan and Russia are sitting on their hind ends, you're wrong. Because the next Suno is going to be even more killer. It's going to blow people's minds. Now, don't ask me how I know this, but I do. There are going to be many more. And you know what's going to happen? The training data for those many more Sunos and Udios is all going to be above board. And it is going to come from places that people don't even imagine. When it comes to AI training rights, there are scores of artists that have tons and tons of information, data that they could give to these companies for a fee. It's going to happen. You want a slice of that pie? You better get your catalog ready. You best believe I'm doing that. Secondly, AI artist partnerships. Creating synthetic artists, co-branded AI human acts, or AI remixes of back catalog hits is gonna happen. I know Timbaland is the villain for the foolishness he demonstrated by putting someone else's track into Suno, but don't let that deceive you that people will not gravitate towards the model that he's been promoting, which is to have your own AI artists. It is going to happen. Thirdly, another piece of this AI pie is AI tools for artists. Owning the tools like, Pro Tools for AI. Suno have jumped on the paddy wagon. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. Artists are going to be able to create within the label's ecosystem. Suno in the future very well could be some sort of label. They've got all the firepower. They got billions of dollars to play with, perhaps. Lost valuation, well, don't ask me that. You can go ask them, but I know it's big. And I know that they have the power and the muscle to push. But maybe all you need is their platform. And maybe their platform gives you with the membership some perks, just like Lambda. Lambda allows you use there as a playground. You can take the loops, you can do as you will, you can create your tracks, you can distribute your tracks, all on Lambda, Landr. You should check them out. I use a lot of their mastering tools along with tools I have on my DAW. So if you're not aware of these, be aware of them, my friends, because the future is going to change drastically. And if you're in the music business, you need to understand this. AI licensing for brands, selling custom AI generated soundtracks for film and ads. And are you kidding me? Well, that's where I'm going. I have tons of scores I've created. I am going to create more by feeding them into the beast and generating more at the blink of an eye. Because I'm sure that my data, my catalog can be used to train AI models quite robustly. So why don't I just use it to train my own agents? Lastly, AI enforcement. I know that building detection and watermarking tech to police unauthorized use of people's catalogs is going to keep being big. And a lot of people are going to make money from this by creating those. Now let's talk about a favorite from the Porter's Forces topic, which I opened with. And that is what AI strategy could look like for UMG, for Warner, and Sony. Now, Michael Porter is brilliant. He is amazing. He is one of the greatest minds, business minds of our time. But using his logic, let's talk about how the big three might build AI strategy in. They're very crafty at the top. But this is what I see happening. Number one, they could attempt to shape industry. And when I talk about shaping industry, I'm talking about making macro moves. Cardi calls it money moves. I call these macro moves. And the macro moves is lobbying for regulation. Those are the macro moves, right? They could lobby for regulation, which requires licensing for AI training. They could turn lawsuits into standardized royalty frameworks. And I know it disgusts you, as it will many. Because when you think about all the, it's for the sake of the artist. Well, do the artists really get that much? I know the big ones will. But anyway, put that aside. I also see the big three probably forming an industry consortium, a set of rules of engagement with AI startups, pretty much policing the land. And if they do that, it is going to be very hard because they understand the threats of new entrants is going to cut down their bag, and they don't want that. The next thing I see happening is positioning. UMG could position as the guardian not of the galaxy, but of artists' rights in this AI era. They could try this by building trust and ensuring artists benefit from AI licensing deals. Sony could leverage its tech pedigree, electronics, gaming, to integrate AI into cross-media ecosystems. Now, Sony and UMG are probably owing me at this point because I've just dropped some gems. If you weren't thinking about this, you know what to do. You better come to me as a consultant. I'm just telling you right now. Sony could lead in AI-driven soundtracks if they would have the humility to see AI as a legitimate creation tool. I know they're smart, so they probably will in the future. Warner can position as the AI-friendly label. Fast to sign AI human acts, build AI tools for creators, and capture independence. Now, would I really sign with one of these guys? It depends if the price is right, or maybe I just want to rule my own empire. I believe the playing field has already changed quite radically and dramatically, and people like their independence. So there's a big threat to this stability of the big three. What about value chain reconfiguration? I can see A&R shifts using AI for scouting talent signals on TikTok and YouTube. I see production shifts, AI tools streamlining, mixing, mastering, and demoing. I've already shown you this on this channel where we have Lander just taking a mix and boom, before you know it, you got a really robust sounding master. AI is already changing the market space. Marketing shifts, AI personalization, tailoring campaigns to individual fans, and distribution shifts, embedding music in AI-driven environments, virtual reality, metaverse, and so on, augmented realities and stuff like that. I also see trade-offs as part of the strategy. The big three, they have to accept they cannot be everything to everyone, right? They can ask the question, should we double down on our heritage catalogs? Should we make it safe? Should we make it monetizable? Or should we lean more into the world of AI native acts, like this crazy guy Phil talking to you right here? Is it risky to do that? Is it disruptive? Will they be perceived as traders in the market space by the consumer? They got to answer those questions for themselves. Do they fight AI tooth and nail? Or do they partner with it and risk cannibalizing their current revenues? It is quite an entertaining situation. Honestly, it is a great time to be in the world of music. And they also need to look at continuation of their legacy, communication and continuity. Artists, consumers, regulators, partners, they've all got to understand what's our stance on AI. And they also need to ask the with him factor. What is in it for me with him? And are we blockers? Are we shapers? Are we accelerators? A model stance will erode trust and it will confuse the market. So it's important these guys get their act together. So here's the big picture finally. Porter's Forces reveals that AI is not a side trend. It reshuffles the entire profit structure of the market, of the industry of music. Rivalry, no doubt, is going to intensify as the field broadens beyond the big three. New entrants, AI startups, independent creators like me, yeah, they'll rise. Substitutes will explode in variety and accessibility. Maybe I'm a substitute. Check out some of my latest music, Phil the Creator. It is killing because what I'm doing, I'm bringing real world understanding of music, having been a musician for over 30 years, having slept on studio floors, and I'm taking all this knowledge and all my old music, new music, and I'm generating catalogs quicker than you could blink. Tell me that's not a threat. And I'm just one of me. There are many more of you in the AI Creatives group who are doing crazy stuff too. One of our members was just chatting in the other day. He's worked with Michael. He's worked, and I mean Michael Jackson, the Michael Jackson. He's worked on music from that catalog. He's worked on music with the likes of Snoop and Co. So when you look at the people who are beginning to bear AI music weaponry, that is, the big three, they've got it. They got their work cut out for them. Because if they do not pivot quickly, things are going to get chaotic very, very rapidly. For the longest time, when you have a new artist emerging, they got to pay tons and tons of money, millions and millions of dollars. But now, with the advent of artificial intelligence, a producer who knows his or her weight and understands how AI works and understands how to manipulate and massage the tools, you could make hit after hit after hit. Especially if you have the rights to your own vocal cords, your own voice, and technology. Mind-blowing, ridiculous stuff. That's what's coming down the pike. So the suppliers, people like me, artists, they're going to challenge the model. They're going to challenge control. And the big three, the UMG boys and girls, Sony, Warner, they can either cling to being the best in the old game or they can embrace uniqueness in the new game by carving out their piece of the AI pie. My question to you is, how do you feel about all of this? Are you gonna grab your piece of the AI pie, or are you gonna sit idly by? It's your buddy Phil bringing it to you just like it is. I'm curious to know what you think if you're in the business of music. Let me know what you're thinking. And if you're just in the business of business, I don't know what you think, because this is a conversation that needs to be had at all levels. Thanks for listening. Drop me a comment. What do you think about this rather interesting development? What do you see the future as?
I am the future of the music business. Ha 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 ha.